With Tom Rennie, the fourth match day after the international break. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm pleased you started dressing like me. That bodes well for today's show.
Yeah, I think glasses bring intelligence, so
yes.
That's why I'm wearing them. And
you never look so good. You've never looked so good. You look really put together today. Well done. Whatever you've done, well done.
Thank you. I try just to look like you for this show. So, guys, please leave a comment below and tell us if you like the glasses or any other tip for this match day of the Premier League. And again, since this is a live video, you can ask any question to Tom, who has been very, very smart with his glasses, nailing down many results, like the 5-0, for instance, of Man City against Arsenal again. Yeah. So let's see if we are lucky. And don't forget to click on the like, subscribe, and click on the bell, of course, to get notifications. So, Tom, let's start with this fourth match day, and let's start with the leaders, the only team who have won all 3 games. And I have to say that I'm very surprised. I guess also you are very surprised. Spurs, they are playing in Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace, Tottenham. As I said, Spurs 9 points in a Nuno fashion way. Every single result was 1-0. And now they face Crystal Palace. No victories for them yet. But actually, as you thought, they got a point against West Ham, because usually Crystal Palace are very good when they play against the Hammers. What do you expect here with this Tottenham really favorite odds 1.95 for them?
Yeah, it's interesting, this one. Firstly, like you, I didn't think Spurs would be top of the table with 3 wins from 3. I don't think anyone saw that coming. But, you know, I was at the Man City game and they were fantastic. They beat Wolverhampton Wanderers in an emotionally charged game for Nuno. And I think Watford are going to struggle on the road all season. And so Spurs winning that game wasn't a great surprise. I expected 4 points. 9 is an incredible achievement when you consider as well that they've been gradually bringing Harry Kane back into this team. Started against Watford, off the bench against Wolves, and of course didn't play famously against Manchester City. But they look good, Tottenham. They look good. There's a good balance to this team. I didn't see Davinson Sanchez and Eric Dyer being the best central defensive partnership in the Premier League to this point. But, you know, crazy things happen. You know, they bought a bunch of right-backs over the years, and Japhet Tanganga has turned out to make the position his own in the opening weeks of the season. And the midfield 3 of Højbjerg, Skip and Ali looks solid. And the front 3 with Kane back in it saw Moura drop out, him come in, Sonnenberg and the other 2. It worked pretty well. Going to this game, there's issues with no Davinson Sanchez because of the whole quarantine regulations thing coming back from South America. Lo Celso the same, Romero the same, and the other 2 probably weren't going to start in this game. And there's some fitness doubts about Oliver Skip, Heung-min Son, and 1 or 2 others as well. So there's loads of things at this point we don't know, which is always the case when you come back from international breaks. So there's some variance there, but I still think Tottenham Hotspur have a significantly better side than Crystal Palace, and they have Harry Kane in their team. So if you're looking for betting markets, it's Harry Kane and something. It's Harry Kane to score first and Tottenham to win. It's Harry Kane to score any time and Tottenham to win by 2 clear goals. It's Harry Kane to win and just Harry Kane to score and Tottenham to win. You can get about 3-1. You know, that's quite a nice bet. Kane scores, Spurs win. You can pretty much do that every week and guarantee about 20-25 wins per season. That will cover your stake for most weeks of the season. Looking about 3-1 this morning at the odds, but that will tighten considering Harry Kane's brilliant goal on Wednesday. As for Palace, you know, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. They always raise their game against West Ham for whatever reason. They've got a great record against West Ham, certainly playing at the Olympic Stadium. They're very good. I thought Conor Gallagher was superb. Absolutely superb for Crystal Palace in that midfield. You know, he didn't get the chance to shine at West Brom last season. Why? Because West Brom barely touched the ball. They were a really poor Premier League team. They panicked sacking Bilic. They were always going down. And so we didn't see the best of him. His 2 goals were sensational. His 2 goals were so good, West Ham have already replaced Craig Dawson with Kurt Zouma because they were like, you know, we need better defenders to deal with better players. Apart from that, I don't see a great deal of goal threat in Crystal Palace. I still don't see a great deal of goal threat in Crystal Palace. And I think they will try and hold on for a draw here. I'd be looking low scoring, and I would be looking at all of the Kane doubles. 1-0 Harry Kane feels about right.
Tom is telling us Spurs to win 2-0, 3.25, since Crystal Palace are not great scorers, as you mentioned. So from the top of the table, Tottenham to the bottom. I am sure the Arsenal fans were enjoying a lot this international break when they saw the standings, and they So Arsenal at the bottom of the table with 0 points. Luckily, they are playing at home against Norwich. I guess this is luck, no, Tom? Because here it should come the first victory for Arsenal or not. What do you think?
If you are struggling at the bottom of the table, can't score goals, conceding rubbish goals, the fans are on your back, you want Norwich at home. This is the perfect fixture for Mikel Arteta. If this was, I don't know, this was a West Ham game or a Man United game or an Everton game or any of the teams in the top half of the table, I think you're in big trouble if you're Arteta right now with the chaos that surrounds Arsenal Football Club and the big spending nonsense transfer window they've had. But Norwich City, despite spending big for them, once again, do not have a Premier League squad. I'd say maybe Billy Gilmore, Max Aarons, Rashica maybe, from what I've seen so far, look Premier League quality. The rest are the same old Championship 11 that are going to get relegated. So in this game, you're looking at Arsenal to win big. 4-0 is 20-1. So never go exact score, except if you're putting a little bit on for fun. Couple of quid, couple of euros, whatever, that's fine. But never go big on an exact score. But 4-0 does look tempting around 20-1. Over 4.5 goals is 5-1. So if you're looking at Arsenal and over 5, that's 5-0 or above. There's some good odds on that. Now, the question marks about Arsenal, of course there are. There are injury issues with Arsenal. There's coronavirus issues. Xhaka, White, Pepe, Partey, and Ketia. Smith Rowe is a doubt as well. So there's a whole bunch of issues that Arsenal have got. But even Arsenal's second team, and this is rare this season, Arsenal's second team are better than the opposition. So Arsenal win big, start with a -3 handicap and work your way to good bets from there.
Wow, Arsenal -3 handicap, for instance, is 9.4. If we are a bit more cautious, we still have good odds for Asian handicap -2, for instance, for Arsenal. 3.9 with that signing Tomiyasu from Bologna in the last transfer day. Wetu is telling us Norwich to win 0-2. Well, there is some big money for sure. Also, the head of Arteta probably 6.95.
If you don't like your money, just send it to us. You haven't got to waste it on bets. Just send us the money if you want to just give it away. Don't bet on Norwich at any point this season. There's my advice all season long.
Then let's move on to the next game. Brentford, Brighton. Good start of the season for sure. For Brentford, 5 points that debut with a victory against Arsenal and then 2 draws against Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. So I would say this is a good start for a new Premier League team. Whereas Brighton, Tom, also good start, 6 points, won the first 2 games against Burnley and Watford and lost against Everton, but Everton started the season quite good. I guess this is a very hard one to call, and the odds actually show us that.
Yeah, well, as you say, it's almost dead even in terms of what the bookies think. And I agree. This is such a tough one. I was trying to search through things this morning that might be tasty in this one. And there's goal scorers in these games, but would you back them? Ivan Toney I like, but has not hit the ground running in front of goal for Brentford this season. This might be the perfect game for him to score his first important Premier League goal for Brentford. For Brighton, Neil Maupay looked quite good, but he's always struggling with little niggles, little issues. And again, he came off in the last game for Aaron Connolly, who just simply doesn't score. So you're looking at that sort of market. But I tell you what was interesting for me, the draw. The draw at 3 is interesting. It's gone up already since it was this morning. And if you're looking for scores, again, I avoid exact scores, but a draw and neither team score. A 0-0 draw is around 7-8-1. I couldn't split these two teams. I couldn't tell you what they're going to do. I think they're both going to try and attack, but I also like them both defensively. I like the trio that Brighton have got across their back line this season in Webster, Duncan, Duffy. They look really good. Solly March coming back and gives them a good balance. I think Lamptey is still missing. That's a real shame, but someone will fill in on the other side and they'll have a good balance in midfield. They look strong. It just depends on whether Maupay is fit and fancies it. For Brentford, similar sort of story. Defensively strong, offensively not quite hit their peak, and I think Brighton will be able to defend well in this game. So goalless draw looks a tip for me.
Everyone here is expecting not many goals, as Tom is flagging for us. Under 2.5 goals, the odds are very bad, 1.61. Harry, agree with you, actually, with this goalless draw. So we have to go for under 2 goals, for instance, to find decent odds, 2.09, but still very low because everyone here expect a boring game, or at least they don't expect many goals in the west of London. Brentford, Brighton. Then let's go for probably the best game of this match day. Leicester City, Man City, because we saw this game already in this season, and Leicester City beat Man City in the Community Shield, but I'm sure this is going to be a completely different game. And because I still remember, Tom, the victory last season, it was away, it was in the Etihad Stadium, but probably all Citizens fans still remember this 2-5 result for the Foxes, who struggled a little bit to beat Norwich, but still they were able to come back and bounce back after that heavy defeat against West Ham, whereas for Man City, as you said, after the 5-0 against Norwich, bet again 5-0 against Arsenal. There you go. And they don't have a striker, a replacement for Agüero. Well, they have Gabriel Jesus and an amazing roster, but at the end, they didn't sign a big striker.
Yeah. Last season was great, and they always have a shocker, don't they? In the first few weeks of the season, City, they've already lost to Tottenham, and this still might come into that early season shock result category for Man City. So I wouldn't discount Leicester. I know the bookies have certainly got City as big favourites. They'd be making an error not to always put City as big favourites, but 6-1 just for Leicester to win feels quite interesting to me. That feels on its own quite interesting. No need to go too deep on this one. That feels like that's worth a few quid. Leicester have got a real chance of beating Man City. There's a few reasons for that. Number one is the list of players that are likely to be unavailable for Man City this weekend. Now, you mentioned the deep squad, but no Foden, no Jesus, no Ederson in goal. There's talk of Scott Carson playing in goal because Zach Steffen's also out with COVID. He's the number 2. So Scott Carson, who's like 70 years old, needs your glasses to play these days. He might be in goal for Man City. That is a concern. He played at Newcastle last year, but that was a bit of a gimme match. You know, they played it because the season was over for them. Doubts about De Bruyne still. We know Mendy's out. Laporte is a massive doubt. That's a long list for anybody. And again, I always say this to you. No, De Bruyne in big games is a big issue for Man City. They've got a great roster, but he's number 1. He's one of the best players in world football and has been for a long time. Without him, and this team is built around him, there are going to be issues there that Leicester can exploit. What of Leicester? Injury issues themselves. Yannick Vestergaard came in to solve their injury issues and got injured. Ryan Bertrand came in as defensive cover for injury issues. He's injured. Johnny Evans seems to be always injured. Ricardo Pereira, injured. James Justin, injured. Wesley Fofana, injured. And they were like, well, we've got Mendy. Should we play Mendy in there? Injured. Everyone who plays defence for Leicester is injured. So that is the big question mark. Can a makeshift defence keep out any Man City team? I would suggest no. And Chalios Soyuncu, by the way, I've watched him a couple of times this season. I was at the West Ham game, saw him on telly last week. He looks shocking. Absolutely shocking, Soyuncu. His passing is terrible. Positioning is terrible. Tackles are terrible. Judgment is terrible. At the exact moment Brendan Rodgers needs him to be their lead defender, he's forgotten the concept of defending. He's forgotten the concept of football. It looks like he's been spinning around for 25 minutes on a broomstick and they've just let him go. Like, he looks atrocious. So we need a big performance from Soyuncu if they're going to win it. There's some smart money to be put on Leicester to win this game. Low bids or low bets for a decent reward if they win. I'd be looking at full-time result and both teams score Man City around 3.5. That is moderately interesting. I agree City are slight favourites, but don't discount Leicester.
It's so low, the odds for Man City, and so high, the odds for Leicester. Here, David is telling us that the Foxes will bite Pep's boys, and Mbano is asking us, well, or saying actually that Leicester or draw is worth a few bucks. Actually, the double chance for Leicester, 1x, highest odds right now is 2.55. If someone fancies full-time draw, of course, also possible. I guess 4.5. So very high odds for everyone thinking that Pep team will drop points. Then we have Man United Newcastle at the same time. Very interesting game because it's the return of Cristiano Ronaldo to Old Trafford, and we are all looking forward to seeing him again playing at Old Trafford. I was reading today and seeing the two images when he was playing together with Solskjaer, and now that he's back to Old Trafford, that time passed quicker for someone that for other people. Here, Armin is asking us, actually, Tom, if you think Man United will smash Newcastle, if you think this is going to be a handicap bet for the Red Devils, or you think Newcastle can put a fight?
Put simply, it's going to be a thrashing. It's going to be a thrashing in favour of Manchester United. Now, people will say, but they've got a bunch of players away on international duty, and you never know what's going to happen after this weekend. And that's true to a point. This weekend is one of the most unpredictable in the season, certainly the three in the first half of the season, international breaks, because you don't know who comes back. You can't really assess the form. There's been such a long break and all that sort of stuff, and surprises happen. Plus, it's the first game after the transfer window closed. We haven't seen these players enter the squads. We don't know how much training they've had. There's a lot of variance, but I can tell you that Man United are better than this Newcastle in every possible regard. Let's talk about the Ronaldo sideshow first. Personally, I don't think he'll start. I think if they're winning 3-0 in the 70th minute, which they will be, he'll come on, rapturous reception, and probably rack up the fourth goal. 3-0 is around 7-8 to 1. Man United with a -3 goal handicap is around 4-5 to 1. These are quite interesting markets. You know, you're looking at Man United for a big win. Man United to win over 3.5 goals in the match, if you're feeling a little bit less brave, is around about 3.5, which I think is also quite decent if you're looking for ways that Man United win. Ronaldo to score first goal is 4-1 this morning. Now, I'm not suggesting do it. I'm just saying a lot of money will go on it. And this is Ronaldo, right? Ronaldo first goal, Ronaldo last goal. Ronaldo last goal, I think of those two, is the one I'd be looking at. They're both around 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. It's worth a bit of fun, right? If you like a bit of a flutter at the weekend for a laugh, I think everybody in the world is going to put a €5, €5, 5 whatever, on Ronaldo to score last goal. I'll be doing it. I'm not recommending people do it, but this is the fun element of it. The Ronaldo story is the biggest story in the world this weekend. It's the biggest story in the football world on Saturday. And what does Ronaldo love more than anything? Being the biggest story in the football world. He comes on, scores the last goal, Man United win 4-0. This is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm expecting. And it is worth mentioning on Newcastle, their injury list is massive. It's massive. It always is. They seem to have a staff of 25 players, of which 10 are only ever fit. No Dubravka, no Shelvey, no Almiron, probably no Hayden, no Dummett. Doubts about Callum Wilson with a thigh problem. Aren't there always doubts about Callum Wilson? No Fraser, no Darlow. That's a long list. Man United, big win, big win, big win.
Newcastle only 1 point actually in this season with the draw against Southampton. And if we go for a big win, we have to go like Man United Asian handicap -2.5. We have odds 2.63 because Man United to win. This is the lowest odds we are going to see in this match day. Is very low, 1.24, because everyone expect Man United to win, and of course Ronaldo to score. Then let's go with a much more interesting game because it's West Ham playing, Tom. West Ham in the south of England against Southampton. Once when we left this show, West Ham were the leaders of the Premier League. Now they are still in the top of the table, of course, with 7 points, but they dropped the first 2 points against Crystal Palace at home, as we mentioned before, and they are playing in Europe because you said that this is a very unpredictable match day because they are coming from international duty, because the transfer just ended, but also because next week we have European football, so a lot of players will rest. And Southampton, as you are saying all over in this show, this is one of the worst teams in this season, probably. You expect West Ham to win at St. Mary's?
Yeah, I do. I do think West Ham will win. I think West Ham are slight favourites at the moment to win it, and I understand why that it's only slight. I think that Southampton being at home, people think they're going to be able to maybe put a show on in front of their supporters. But in general, they struggle at St. Mary's. Be it empty, be it full of fans, they struggle. They were poor against Newcastle last time out, and they got that, 97th minute penalty. They got them the draw against Newcastle. But in general, as we've seen a lot from Southampton this season, it was a pretty disjointed performance from a side who shouldn't be disjointed because they don't change the way they play at all. They are the exact team the Premier League had 20 of in 1997. 4-4-2, everyone does your jobs. 2 strikers, 1 tough tackling midfielder, 1 creative midfielder, a couple of pacey wingers that will hopefully cause some damage. Don't see much in Gineppo and Elyounoussi. I like Armstrong and Adams, but it looks like the best striking partnership in the Championship. And James Ward-Prowse is their only real top player. So I think they'll struggle this season. For West Ham, what was evident against Crystal Palace from watching that game was that they need a better centre-half to play alongside Ogbonna. I think Craig Dawson's done a fine job, but he needs replacing. They've upgraded in Kurt Zouma, who should be able to play in this game. He played for France a couple of days ago and should be available to play alongside Ogbonna. That is a very strong central defensive partnership. They didn't quite have an attacking flair to bring off the bench. Vlasic has come in to fulfill that Lingard role. And so if Benrahma tires or Bowen tires or Pablo Fornals, who's playing phenomenally well right now, scored for Spain in midweek and has had impact in every single game, assists and goals to this point, they've got a replacement for him. And Mikel Antonio went to Jamaica. And the good news is he didn't get injured. That's brilliant. He didn't do his hamstring. It's going to happen at some point. At the moment, the hamstrings are still together. So all in all, I think West Ham looks stronger than Southampton in every department. There is, as has been suggested, some money to be made in the draw market, 3.5 to 4. I expect that to go up before the weekend. But Mikel Antonio to score and West Ham to win is around 4 to 1. That is a good bet. West Ham to win and both teams to score, Antonio to score and West Ham to win. These are the markets I'd be looking at. If you're feeling, I'd go anything but a Southampton win here. Draw is certainly something you could make some money on. But for me, I think the Hammers win.
Our viewers actually agree with you. Shuban, halftime, full-time West Ham. Shari, draw no bet for West Ham. Actually, this Asian Handicap 0 for West Ham is paid 1.70, more or less. So that's 1.82. So that's also another option. And if there is a draw, you get your money back. This is Southampton, West Ham. Let's go to one that is very difficult, I think, to read. Watford, Wolverhampton, because Wolves, they are at the bottom of the table, 0 points, no goals scored yet, but all defeats were only 1-0, and they played tough teams, United, Spurs, and Leicester. So probably we shouldn't be very tough with them, whereas Watford, they started the season with a victory at home, then defeats against Brighton, Spurs here. Even if Wolves have 0 points, they are favourites.
This game's a nightmare. This is a nightmare. I mean, my only tip really for everyone is avoid this game in terms of betting this weekend. Avoid. Look, brief analysis. I thought Watford were impressive on the opening weekend against Villa going forward. They have a knack and had a knack in the Championship for coming out of the blocks, 100 mile an hour, scoring a couple of goals and closing the game down. It's a trademark of Xisco Munoz's side whenever I've watched them play. They continue to do that. And so I'm impressed by what they do. If they don't score in the first 20, 25 minutes, I think you're in big trouble. I was really disappointed. I did the Brighton game recently. Disappointed in Sarr, Emmanuel Dennis, Ken Sema. I thought they were a good trio, offered nothing. And the jury's still out for me for Watford. Pre-season, I thought they would be okay. And I thought they would probably be the most likely to stay up of the three that came up. I'm changing that over the last couple of weeks because they were pitiful against Brighton, offered nothing against Tottenham. As for Wolves, if Adama Traore could score, they'd be top of the league. Right? They played well in all 3 games. They should have won the last game against Man United. Chance after chance after chance. Didn't score. And every single week so far, Adama Traore has gone one-on-one with the goalkeeper and is the ball straight at the goalkeeper. He could be the best striker in the Premier League. I can see what they are trying to do with him. They're trying to do an Antonio with him. They're trying to do an Arnautovic with him. And I think it'll work if he spent the last 2 weeks just taking shots at goal and doing nothing else. He hasn't got to do press-ups or pull-ups or push those big tyres or carry those big chains or do the whole Ben Affleck Batman workout routine. He just needs to find a way to shoot in the corner of the net. If he does that, he'll score 20 goals and Wolves will be top half. But in terms of this game, avoid with your money. The only thing I'd be looking at is maybe the draw, around 3, around 4. But my tip is avoid.
Yep, Shuban told us straight away, game to avoid, and Vano also, draw. And Tom is telling us that no idea what's going to happen here. Very, very tough one to call this Watford Wolves. Then let's go to London, back to London, Stamford Bridge, Chelsea, Aston Villa. Before the international break, Tom, you were telling me that we had to watch that Liverpool-Chelsea to see if those teams were going to be title contenders. There was a draw. Chelsea resisted with 1 man down. So I guess the Blues can be very happy with that result and with the performance so far. They have 7 points, and now they face Aston Villa, very favorites, of course, Chelsea, who are playing Zenit at home in the Champions League in the first game, defending the crown. Aston Villa, 4 points so far. Home victory, easy victory, win 2-0.
I don't know about that. I'm looking forward to this game, actually. I think it's going to be really, really good. I'm surprised to see just how far out Villa have drifted. This morning they were around 11s. It says here around 13. I'm really, really surprised by that. Like, I think Chelsea are favourites. Sure, I think Chelsea are favourites. Of course, I think Chelsea are favourites. But that is long. That is tempting. That is interesting, 13-1. And that might continue to rise over the next 24 hours or so as we build up to kickoff. And so it's worth a look. That is worth a look for your confident, for your brave gamblers out there. I mean, let's talk about Chelsea briefly. The Liverpool game, what did we learn? Unfortunately, we didn't learn as much as we could have done and should have done because of the sending off, which, was the right thing to do within the spirit of the rules. Probably not, but it was adhering to the way the rules are. He had to be sent off. That was deliberate handball the moment he swung his right arm towards it. If he didn't, I think it probably would have been a yellow and still a penalty, but there we are. From that point, they defended well. They still created chances, and it was a game that proved that Chelsea, to me, are going to challenge for the Premier League title. They went to Anfield with 10 men for, an hour, and they did not lose. Brilliant performance in the context of the game. As for Aston Villa, I was surprised with the Brentford result, actually, and surprised at the performance against Brentford. Look, Brentford are a good football-playing team. And Ivan Toney scored that goal, but in the end, it didn't mean a great deal for Brentford because I think wins in games like that, when you take the lead, are absolutely important. The opening weeks of the season, Villa came back and the game sort of closed down, right? The game sort of petered into nothing, which I was surprised by, considering I thought Villa would get on the front foot. But I think they're still looking for balance in Buendia and Ings and all the players they've brought in. That new front line hasn't quite gelled as yet. So I think Villa will be able to score a goal here. I think they've got a great attacking side. Of course, they've got issues like everyone's got at the moment with players coming back from international duty. And of course, they've been heavily involved in the Argentina-Brazil debacle. So as we speak, no Buendia, no Martinez, one or two others going to be missing for this one. But it's similar for Chelsea as well. There's some doubts about Lukaku right now. I was reading this morning. There are some fitness doubts around him. Everyone's going to look for the Lukaku to score market. Of course they are. But there's a thigh issue he's picked up playing for Belgium. Now, he's probably going to shake that off. But as we speak this morning, we can't 100% say that he's going to play. We're looking at Timo Werner. Timo Werner missed a sitter for Germany. Of course he did in midweek, but also has played brilliant across the international break and scored a few goals, been involved in goals for Germany, and he might have to go up front. Him or Havertz might be the lead striker for this game. So it's tough. This is tough. I'm surprised how far Villa are out. I'd be looking for Chelsea to win, and the market I'd be looking at is Chelsea win, but Danny Ings scores. What do you think about that?
Yeah, juicy. Yeah, so both teams to score here. Owetu is thinking about Lukaku as well to score a brace, but be careful because he might not be performing in this game. This is the last game we have on Saturday. On Sunday, we have an interesting one at Elland Road. Leeds, Liverpool, only 2 points in these first 3 games for Liverpool, for Leeds, against Burnley and Everton after their very poor performance at Old Trafford, whereas for Liverpool, 7 points. They play Milan in the Champions League, which is going to be a very, very interesting game. This is the kind of game that Klopp needs to win if they want, of course, to fight for the Premier League, because this is a tricky trip always to Leeds.
Yeah, I think you're right. But when Leeds have played better than their points tally suggests, I thought the Everton game, the 2-2 draw, was the game of the season to this point. I thought it was a sensational game of football that could have swung either way. They were unlucky there. Burnley, they underperformed but still didn't lose. And maybe Burnley are getting back to a bit of that you don't beat us at Turf Moor mentality, which has somehow kept them in the Premier League for the last 8 years. Issues for Leeds, I think that there's going to be no Robin Koch. There's going to be no Matthias Klick. And, key players missing for Leeds. They haven't got the biggest of squads. And so the entire squad needs to be there. And, of course, Raphael missing as well is a huge, huge loss. It's a huge, huge loss. So, I think you're looking in a market here of it's going to be an entertaining game, right? This is it could be the game of the weekend. It's the only game on Sunday. It's absolutely worth watching. Both teams to score is something I would absolutely be looking at this weekend because key players are missing as well for Liverpool. The Brazil issue again. Alisson and one or two others. Firmino's going to be missing. It's crazy right now, the amount of players that are going to be missing this weekend, but there's still talent there. Really surprised at the moment to see how short Liverpool are at 175, 1.8. I think you're looking at maybe evening up over the next couple of days. They'll go to about 2-2, 2-3. Leeds will come back down to about 3-8, 3-7. And I think Liverpool win, both teams to score is what I'd be looking at here. Salary's fit, salary's ready. Salah to score and Liverpool win is around 3-1. I did find one this morning on one of the markets, which was Salah to score first and Liverpool 3-1 is around 50-1. I know, that's a mad one. I'm not suggesting things like that, but I like little bets like that. My smart money would be on Salah scores, Liverpool win 3-1. My crazy money would be finding little bets like that. Salah to score first and picking a scoreline. 2 or 3 scorelines, double chances. But both teams to score is very likely here.
Both teams to score is only 1.64, though, so not very high. And Tom is...
Because it's going to happen, that's why. Because it's going to happen.
Well, then it's not that bad, actually. If it's going to happen, you bet £10 and you get 16, not that bad. And Tom is reminded us about Mark Viduka. Oh, what a player, Australia.
The glory days.
The glory days with Alan Smith and that Leeds. Actually, Real Madrid played at Ellen Road in the Champions League against that great team. But that was the old days. But we have Leeds back in the Premier League for a second straight year. And our last game of this match day is Everton-Burnley at Goodison Park. Great start of the season for Rafa Benitez. And I'm very happy for him coming back to the Premier League after his holidays in China. They beat Brighton. They beat Southampton at home last season. Remember, Tom, that they struggled a lot playing at home. Only one game so far this season, but they won it. Whereas for Burnley, only 1 point after the draw against Leeds. What do you expect here? Odds 1.79 for the Toffees to win this one.
I expect an under scoreline. I would be looking at under 2.5. I would say even under 1.5, 1-0 either way is what I'd be looking at here. I think it's going to be very, very tight because, we know Rafa Benitez at this point. You can see what he's doing at Everton right now. He doesn't want the open football. He doesn't want the end-to-end stuff. He wants to shut games down, nick a goal off the head of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, win 1-0, everyone goes home moderately happy. That's also basically the tactic of Burnley, right? Spin the ball up in the air, down a channel, hope Chris Wood can bully Yerry Mina, which I think will be a narrative of this game if Wood is fit and Mina is fit, and try and get him and Barnes or him and someone else to create something from the chaos, right? That's what they're going to do. And last year it worked brilliantly at Goodison Park. And if memory serves, Dwight McNeil scored a fabulous goal in this game as Burnley went on to win it. And so they will be dangerous, Burnley. So, look, I'd be looking here for low scoring. We're a long way out from this game as we speak, but I'd be looking low scoring. I'd be looking for Everton to win it by a 1-0. I'd be looking at maybe the Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Chris Wood to score a header market. That's what I'd be looking at. You can get Calvert-Lewin to score a header at about 5-1 on some bookies. Chris Wood to score a header around 11, 12-1. 1-1 draw also jumps at me here. Draw, both teams to score. Draw in general. 1-0 either way. Go low scoring. Low scoring.
Low scoring, that means under 2.5 goals. We have odds 1.91 for that Monday evening game. Then, Tom, this is it. Let's tell us your ACCA then.
So tough this week, actually, to do an accumulator. It has actually been really tough because, again, this is such a tough week. I'd be looking at Tottenham. Take Tottenham to win at Crystal Palace. Absolutely take that. Arsenal is your banker of the weekend to take Norwich. Doubles it up. West Ham win at Southampton and throw in Chelsea over Villa. That's 2 aways. That's 2 homes. That's quite tasty. Okay, we will write it down in the description together with the final odds for that 4 games ACCA. Then, Tom, thank you. See you next week. Thanks, everyone, also for watching, commenting. You can still leave your tips, of course, in this video. And don't forget to help us by clicking on the like button, subscribing, and click on the bell to get notifications. Tom, see you next week. Thanks. See you next week. Love the glasses. Last time.